Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick and today guys we're going to be talking about the price action of BTC. We've seen some volatility recently with the price movement going up and coming back down again, kind of liquidating a few people in different places. We're going to talk a little bit around that in this brief update video. As I get into it, if you find it useful and informative, you know what to do. Hit that like button. If you are new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe and you'll stay up to date with all the videos that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free, and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check it out. You'll also find links to the Patreon services and a whole host of additional things down there. For Patreon, we actually cover a whole wide range of different things that you might find useful within the crypto space, so do check that out if that is of interest to you. It really does help support the channel and keeps everyone up to date with the ins and the outs of what is going on in crypto. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into this. Right, Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is the data source. So as we can see here, we've got this kind of three-wave structural move to the upside. Now, previously we were talking about the potential moves to the downside, one looking like this, for example. This kind of move to the downside was invalidated by the time we moved up higher than this A wave, this dashed line at 20,385. So we know that this is not a viable count, and instead the count is to the upside. Now, if we go ahead and take our fibs and we measure the distance here, and we're just going to throw this across here. So basically the idea of this is to check the size of this movement. It equals 100% of this fib move. And if we move this over to this bounce, we're looking to retrace up to 100% of this fib as well, basically meaning that this C wave is going to be the same size as this A wave. So for example, if this is A, this is B, this C wave is typically the same size as the A. Okay, this puts us right up into the sweet spot up here towards $20,700. Okay, actually more specifically, 20,681. Now I say range because we are going to be in a bit of a range here. We can see it's a three-wave structure that we're coming towards the end of it. Okay, now typically this would end around here. Now, with that being said, the minimum expectation for the C wave would actually be what's already happened. We've wicked above this A. The A wave in itself is the minimum requirement of what would happen with the C wave. So when we're down at this bottom of a B, we know that there's a minimum expectation to move back up to 20,385. Now we wicked above this area. This area is acting as resistance right now. Now resistance is just another way of saying this is where the sellers are. Okay, so sellers here are basically pushing the price of Bitcoin down. This is also known as a supply zone. Okay, so when we start talking about supply zones, we start thinking about, okay, where are the active sellers coming from? Well, we can see that is coming in right here, and we can see this all the way across. For example, if I go ahead and actually grab hold of this high point just here, okay, that's 20,385, and I pull this across, we can see that this area was also acting as a supply zone. This is the resistance line. We can also see it over here as a bit of resistance, meeting resistance, and obviously all the way across here, more resistance. Okay, so this is a heavy line of supply. Now, when it comes to moving the price, we obviously have supply zones, but we also have demand zones. Okay, and demand zones help us find where the buyers are. Okay, so if the sellers are here, then we're going to be looking for the buyers. Okay, where are the buyers? They're going to be somewhere on this chart, but we just can't see them without looking, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to try to find where our wicks to the downside are, okay, all these kind of lows, and in here are going to be small areas of buying pressure. Okay, now there might be that actually the new buyers are way down here. They could be at 16,000, they could be at 15,000. We don't necessarily know just looking at the price chart here, right? But we do know that there's some common areas that we've bounced from before. And what we want to do is we want to find as many of these that confirm this is the biggest kind of buying zone possible. Now, we don't want to rely too much on the history here. It has to be reasonably current. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we can say, okay, well, here there was an area of supply. Okay, so this was resistance lines coming in here. If I grab a horizontal line and I throw that right on there, you can see that we wick down to this area. Okay, we pushed past it, we turned it into support. Resistance turned to support, or supply turned to demand. Okay, so looking at this, this is an interesting zone for us. We are, of course, pushing up. Our expectations are that we push up a little bit more, at least on the smaller timeframes, but at some point we're going to have to come down and find the demand or find the support lines that are current. I don't think this one is really strong enough for our purposes. I do think we're going to have to come down into this lower range down here, and I think it's actually a pretty broad one. If we do lose this, but it's going to be potentially something that is going to be dangerous longer term, but we do think this is probably going to be the next kind of area to bounce. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw this in, and I'm going to grab this. Now I'm going to take these closed positions here, and I'm going to just move this across just a little bit. I'm just going to find areas that I'm comfortable with, and I think that's about there. And I'm going to pull this across, okay? So this is going to be my little demand zone. This is where I'm thinking we're likely to bounce down to, and then continue down afterwards. Because I do think things move in 3 waves or 5 waves using Elliott wave theory. We don't just move in one singular wave. There's usually a breakup of this, right? We move in 3 waves or 5 waves, okay? So knowing that we had 3 waves coming up, that's looking to complete. We're looking for, of course, a minimum of 3 waves down. I think this is something that we should expect to see. Move to this demand zone, we bounce from it, we then push back down as sellers then start to appear back up in this range, and then push us back down, and we lose that because we meet all of the demand. Okay, it gets soaked up, we move back down to the next demand zone. Okay, so that's kind of what I'm looking for here within Bitcoin. So knowing this, we can now go ahead and try to confirm our expectations using our price analysis. Okay, so we're drawing on the charts before we've even touched an indicator. Okay, now we're looking for indicators to confirm our analysis. So what we're going to do is going to throw in some order blocks, and we can see that actually the order blocks are lower than our demand zone here. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. So this is actually telling us that our next area is around $18,000. That hasn't actually changed. That's pretty much been where we think it's been here for the last, well, actually pretty much since the 30th of September, right? It's been here. It's been going along here. These order blocks change, obviously, and they do not get reprinted, which means we can see all of the history of where these things were previously. Setting is right up here or around this area, so that seems to line up quite nicely with our wave counts. But this one down the bottom here isn't indicating that this is going to be our bounce, but looking at this seems the most logical place. Bounce up, then pull back down, and this might be where we actually finish this substructure off, and we finish this and we bounce from here. Okay, so that's going to be interesting. We're going to throw on another indicator. This time what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the liquidity, the HTF liquidity indicator. So for anyone who's interested, the order blocks, these red and green blocks, this is the indicator that is BB order blocks by TradingView. Trading Wolf, I think. Let me just check. Yeah, right here. So BB order blocks Trading Wolf. Okay, that's who creates that. And the HTF liquidity, if I can find it on here, HTF liquidity is here by SBTNC. Okay, so if you want to use those ones. But there's many different types. Find one, do some research on it, all that kind of stuff. This isn't a TradingView tutorial. So here we can see there's liquidity just up in this range. So looking at this, right, this previous area of supply, there's still some short positions to be liquidated here, so that is also going to be some pressure for selling. So do watch out. I do expect this to be the case, that actually here we're going to see some kind of rejection as we move up a little bit higher. No guarantee that we go all the way up to this order block here. In fact, this one has now actually finished. So as we can see right here at 5 a.m. this morning, this order block stopped. Okay, which means there's no current order block here for purchasing. Okay, so we know for selling. So there's no selling block here to continue. So we know that actually there's a limited amount of reasons for that price to push up there. There's not a lot of liquidity. The next big liquidity is right up there at 22,800. So knowing this, then actually that gives us all this liquidity to liquidate all these long positions on the way down towards this order block. Inside our little yellow box, our little demand zone here, we can see there's actually a reasonable amount of liquidity. That might be enough to bounce us up. Okay, nothing moves in straight lines. We'll keep a close eye on it. But these are my expectations using those two indicators lining up with our on-chain price analysis. Okay, the indicators are there to help us, but they are not to give us these solutions. They are to help confirm our original thinking. 3 waves up, looking to complete. That seems logical. Also seems to be logical according to the HTF and the OB. So as we come on down, we then start to think about, okay, this is a small area of liquidity. We bounce, we push back down and so forth. Let's check the stochastic. Okay, so our hourly stochastic RSI, our momentum indicator, is indicating that we have momentum to push up. This is basically saying that we might actually come up into this high range to grab that last little bit of liquidity and then pull to the downside. Let's check on our 4-hourly chart. Very similar story here. We can move up a little bit, then move back down. Not conclusive, it's not overbought, it's not oversold, but it is heading to the oversold area. The 8-hourly chart, high, it needs to come down, it's coming out of overbought, so do expect this move to the downside. The daily chart is overbought, so we do expect a move to the downside. The weekly chart is close to overbought, we do expect a move to the downside. So we get these common kind of themes with this indicator, showing us that we have some real short-term momentum upwards, but essentially we are actually talking about moves to the downside. The highest probability here is that we do move down, we do not move up. Okay, so looking at it, that's kind of our expectation. Our expectation should be short move up, slightly midterm move to the downside, grab the liquidity, and the whales will obviously be liquidating those retail investors as they usually do, or the market makers. It could be a mixture of both. Okay, so these are my expectations. Slight move up, slight move down, and that should then kind of put us into a reasonable position to talk about the next larger moves in the space for BTC. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found this useful, informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.